we have studied a lot on the Green Revolution. I mean, at least we did in our generation. So I don't know, maybe we are at the doorstep of another revolution. So it is the interim period I'm talking about. And I'm sure the revolution is starting only. It's not on its way. So we are still in the interim period. So your topic is unfurling Indian economic growth, transformation, and sustainability. Now, I think the topic embraces all three, but whether it leads to growth or not needs to be seen. But it is certainly transformative, as we see in our lives also, and possibly it will be transformative for agriculture also. And maybe it will help in the sustainability of agriculture also. So let me give a small summary of our history. This is, that before Green Revolution, after independence, that is, we had very low productivity and food insecurity was the biggest problem. And we had a large section, large portion of the population were rural population. Their main earning was from farming. They had small farms and they were very, very poor. And the whole country was in food insecurity. So then we brought the new seeds, as you know, the high yielding seeds. And the Green Revolution started. And it's one of the biggest transformations in India, I would say, because it took us out of that fear of, starving almost, or dependence on some other country, for food. So, but at the end of the Green Revolution, the discussion was that we have food sufficiency. We don't have to import or take food aid, forget food aid. And we have more or less higher productivity, not as high as many other countries, but those countries were consuming more fertilizer, chemical and all that. We were in fact a bit sorry about that our fertilizer was not to that level. But we already started realizing that this technology with intensive use of chemicals and intensive use of water, all this was leading to severe ecological problems. And one main problem was created by Green Revolution was the imbalance. It is the imbalance between regions, the eastern regions, the states were rich in water, but they were left out, whereas the western region, which are actually dry, but they had a good irrigation system to start with. They inherited it from colonial time. They were the beneficiaries, and two crops, as you know, only rice and wheat, not the other crops. Then between the richer farmers who could invest on the new technology and the poorer farmers who got left out. But the result was same at the end of the Green Revolution, that farmers remained very poor and they had even smaller holdings. Third is the post-2000. This is a period of transition. And here we see that productivity was already saturating. It rose, but it was not rising further. And we had food surplus. We started exporting also. But then there was a problem of excess food storage costs, fiscal cost. Either way, a fiscal cost means your public money was strained, but if you take the money away, the farmers were hurt. So all these problems leads to political economy dilemma. And the farm, obviously with population increase, the farms were even smaller. And still that truth remained, that farmers remained poor. So one special thing we saw in this period was that there was a growing concern for farmers' welfare. See, in the first period and the second period also, we had a lot of policies which continue now also. We had the PDS, we had procurement, we had ration and storage and all these. But most of this was for the consumer, for food security. Consumer also includes farmers because they were so poor, they also couldn't buy always. So they were net buyers. But still, it was on that side. But suddenly, we also realized that the producer remained poor. So the attention went towards the farmers' interests also. And this um, was accompanied by, which is the topic of the day, is the penetration of telecom. Telecommunication revolution was taking place elsewhere, and it was, I can't say it took place, because it's a continuous process of innovation and it's going on and on for several years. So 2020 onwards, we actually wait for and expect more and more disruptions. This is because we are now, the policy has changed. It was earlier, of course, farmers were private entrepreneurs, if you would call, or it is their way of life, but farming sector was in the private. Overall, the economy was largely controlled by the state. But here, after liberalization, small changes started taking place, and now 2020 onwards, we are kind of prepared to open our doors for the entry of private sector in all fields. Um, then we have the this thing. We are having digitalization, uh, and which could be another revolution, post green revolution. And then, of course, unfortunately, we have other problems, like we had the COVID for 2 or 3 years, and now we that affected agriculture's value chains, and so it is the post COVID situation where we have to make up for that, when everything was locked up and nobody spent money, and the whole transport system, everything was affected. But then again, we have a war now, and that war has close relation with agriculture and food security, because people depend on our exports, and we also depend on some of these affected countries for edible oil and fertilizer, energy and fertilizer, because fertilizer, as you know, urea ultimately the root is in the energy sector, and phosphate and potassium, which we need, those are also mostly imported from these countries. Then another thing we realized was that agriculture takes place in the open air, so it is a very risky enterprise, and it is continuously under the onslaught of weather events like floods, storms, droughts, pests. And the people, of course, this is nothing new. It was there for ages, and the farmers have developed their ways of coping. But these are all distressful coping. This is, you can see, they usually, they don't grow for profit only. They use some hardy crops, which was millet. That's a different thing, that millets also are nutritious. But the reason was because they want to diversify and grow some less remunerative but stronger crops. Then they had to sell their assets and sometimes move away from agriculture. They had to borrow money at high interest rate from the money lenders. And the worst thing is they often had to migrate also for jobs elsewhere, and create, in places where those places or cities, they are not prepared for so much of migrant, and it leads to congestion. So we had a problem with crop insurance. We started a crop insurance, National Agricultural Insurance Scheme, in 2004, and later that was upgraded to Prime Minister's Fasal Bima Yojana in 2016, with allowing private sector to involve in it. But then this crop insurance also suffers from the risk, because agricultural risk is covariate risk. It is not totally random. If there is a weather event, it affects a large number of, in USA also, this has some of the hurricanes, they wipe out insurance companies also. So then we have this problem of this asymmetrical information, because the farmers they were not connected to the mainstream economy. They were poor, and here this climate change, realization of climate change is growing every day, and this adds to the risk. And all this risk also results in, you know, poor access to credit, because the banks themselves are in risk. When the gives loan to a poor farmer, whatever, there are banks are also encouraged, there's a lot of quota on them also. But if something goes wrong and all these farmers become poor and they can't, they cannot sell their products, whatever, whether the production falls short or the price falls short, then they cannot pay back, and there is NPA accumulation, then one day there is loan waiver. So in this case, for insurance to work also, there's a lot of need for information, whether of the yield at the regional level, whether that yield has actually fallen there due to some weather event, risk has happened there, or what is the outlook of the risk to happen also, and then what is happening elsewhere in the world. So this is very important for an insurance to be successful. So one problem in India is, of course, scientists are developing many models to predict, weather under this climate change episode. But India has a monsoonal climate, and that is even more difficult to predict. Normal sense would say that because of the heating, monsoon circulation will be invigorated, and there will be more atmospheric circulation, and India would get more rainfall. But of course, everybody agrees that rainfall will be very erratic. It will come late, it will sometimes go early or late. Some regions will be deprived. But over the time, we have seen that this does not happen in many of the cases. Here I plotted the rainfall. The rainfall is actually going down. In the fourth graph, you will say it is increasing in the southern region, but eastern region, northeastern region, monsoon has gone down. Western region also slight sign of decreasing rainfall. And these last 2 years, 2021 and 22, you've seen the monsoon behave very erratically, but totally different ways. In 2021, we had almost drought in August. In 22, that did not happen. So it's very unpredictable. So now we come to this: what are the challenges of the post-revolution era? So these are let us sum up the challenges we face now, that we have very over like 80% of the holdings are very small, marginal is up to 1 hectare, small is up to 2 hectares, and there is high level of poverty, especially compared to the urban areas, and there are frequent droughts and floods. This year also we started with a drought, in fact, but later we had in October also we had heavy rainfall in some areas. But this create uncertainty. Then a few years ago, if you remember, we had a lot of this locust problem. This year also bollworm was there. Then all these disasters affect land, property, and create even life loss, especially for floods. Then we have the problem of imperfect market in agriculture. The price of crop is low, but often the consumer in cities, especially in the malls and supermarkets, we pay higher prices, and there's a lot of gap between what producer gets and the consumer pays, in between on transport, on the intermediaries, etc. Then there is exploitation on the farmers, because they have to depend totally on traditional village traders. Whatever the source of knowledge is from traders only. This is asymmetrical information. But then I must say that the traders are also individual. They take a lot of risk themselves to, this is a huge country, small farms scattered everywhere. It's not at all easy to penetrate. So the trader does that. So he or she does that, take that risk. And they also have outdated practices. They pollute among themselves. It's kind of oligosonical behavior takes place, or they collude with government officials there in the villages. So this is then another huge problem is the poor access to institutional credit. So because institutional credit, as I told you, the banks are also taking risk. and you have to spread the banks in the rural areas, and those banks have to deal with poor farmers who many of whom are not even literate. So there is a lot of hassles with documentation which the farmers cannot manage. And the farmers need the banks need the farmers data to process their loans also, their credit history, assets, earnings, tenure. Otherwise it's too risky for the farmers. On the other hand, the farmers neither have the time nor the capacity to do all that, so they also go to the local money lender or the trader who give the risk credit much swiftly, more swiftly and in time. So they give pay higher interest rate, but that makes agriculture costly and make the farmers indebted and sometimes force them to migrate to refund that money. So another then the side effect of the green revolution also goes on. One of that is the ecological problem, like in the northwestern region, in some areas are waterlogged, some areas water level has gone down. Then now we have to deal with this after this Paris agreement and recent agreement. We have this control on GHG, greenhouse gas emission. As you know, fertilizer leads to nitrous oxide emission, rice leads to methane emission, crop burning, and this disposal of residues that leads to carbon dioxide. Even the soil also, soil cover is the most important way of sequestering carbon. So that is one side effect. Another side effect is because of green revolution, we are producing excess amounts of grains, particularly rice and wheat, and we have an open procurement system where the government has to procure it at minimum support prices and stock them, and much of it is wasted and there is price distortion. And that we have to face a lot of international dispute on that because of India some another thing is that we have passed the National Food Security Act, which makes a legal obligation of the government on the government to maintain some buffer, because under all circumstances government has to supply minimum food requirements of the people. So a lot of dilemmas are there, political dilemmas between center and state, fiscal constraints. So it's not that the government is not doing anything. The first thing was for rural distress is the Manrega loan waivers are there. Then disaster management, they have passed a bill law on that. That is a mandatory now. And we can see there is a gradual change in the priority from consumer security to remuneration to the farmers. The name of the ministry is changed to Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. There is a plan of doubling farmers' income, and this Prime Minister's Fasal Bima Yojana has become important. And another very important step is the Kisan Nidhi, PM Kisan, which is direct benefit transfer of income to the farmers. And we are also trying for organic farming and efficient water management, chemical use, diversification of crops towards pulses and horticulture, soil testing and issuing soil health card, weather forecast alerts and advisories. So it is not an easy task. So this is for the sustainable agriculture, but in such a big country, is this an easy doable work? So now our aim is, first, in the market, we want to visualize agriculture is not just agriculture, but as a value chain from the farmer to the consumer, or from the plow to the plate, as they call. And to make India one market, one price, because India's market is highly fragmented. Even within a state, it is not, there may be food shortage in one area, food excess in another area. Between states, there are several barriers for food to go into areas of abundance to deficiencies. Then to organize the small farmers, already we are having powerful buyers. These companies are coming in. So farmers need to be organized and grouped as to bargain with them, uh, and not get exploited again. And we need more flexibility. We need to plan food imports and exports timely. With all these, if the farmer produces less and we are caught in the wrong food, we have to import at very high cost. So we should know in time, in a good time advance, that this year production is going to be low or too high. So we need to communicate with the farmer, understand their problems. So timely information has become very critical. So here comes the technology into use. So we are having this marketing policy, which is to reach out to larger buyer base. We have strengthened the APMC markets, which is the mandis, regulated markets, improve their infrastructure, relax the laws, allowing the food companies, allowing some amount of contract farming. Globalization is taking place, but still we see sudden bans. This year itself, I think, we suddenly had a ban because there was a sense that production may be short. Then the 3 farm laws to liberalize market was passed, but again it was withdrawn. So this is visualizing the agri market. We have the producer and number of intermediaries, and the intermediary group is now widened to include farmers groups, cooperatives, private companies, processors, etc. So from farmer to consumer, it goes through this channel. Now let us go to the ICT. What is the ICT? Actually, it started with Graham Bell's telephone. Then we went through a lot of process to reach this smartphone. And it's not the end of it, of course. Then we have the electronic computer, which the scientists developed theoretically, then actually. Then we have the laptop and tablets, etc. We have the satellites now, and for georeferencing and GPS. So number of satellites India has on the orbit. So then the biggest development is the emergence of internet. It's an ever-changing technology, information superhighway. So and now in mobile also we are having it. This is called embedding technology. That is, the mobile is not just a telephone, but it's also a computer. It's acting. It is combined, and it is also internet access instrument. So although our internet penetration is slow, so we are having now the mobile with GPS camera, everything, and we still have several other things in the line that may come, like Internet of Things, machine learning, robotics, etc. So it can be highly transformational. It's been tried in other countries also. So in India, this ICT, I would say, is a mix of modern technologies that apply intelligence, computational algorithms, sensors, information transfer, and interactive communication. And it will tend to diminish human physical presence and interference and action, including the government interference. So this is there, and as you know, we had a huge black color telephone at home. It was not working. Then we had a slightly mobile, huge telephone. Then it became a mobile phone. Then it became a smartphone. Computers also, from the mainframe, it moved up to this laptop, and now we have it in our smartphone itself. Internet started very late. Till 1990s, nothing was there. Only to educational institutes we used to use that earnet.in. Now every house has it, and maybe even the poorer people, some of them have access to it. But it's a very slow progress, and it is something which is driven by private sector initiative. It's one of the rare things. So we have now multimedia mobile phones. We have fintech, which is extremely, we only knew cash at one time. Then it was credit, it was bank account. But we have the credit card, the debit card, the bank transfers, the UPI. Now we have the central bank digital currency also. And another big development in India's economy is the JAM, the UID particularly, which Nandan Nilekani developed, which is the Aadhaar card. So we have the Jan Dhan account banking, So this is a big way to and mobile and big way to control corruption, because government was doing a lot for many years, and lot of subsidies, a lot of support was given, but much of it was leaked out also as corruption. So this is a this all this is built to control corruption, at least to some extent. So it is still an unfinished journey, because the mainly internet access is very low. There's a digital divide, and there's a lot of potential for automation, drones, and other remote controlled intelligent systems. Now I changed it. Can you see? Can you see?
The slide was ICT for agriculture.
Yeah. So in agriculture in India and the rural India in general is a late starter. And it is agriculture, as you know, traditionally is secluded from the mainstream because of poor connectivity, which I explained, that even we urban people face poor connectivity, the telephone hardly work. In rural areas, there were hardly any telephones. There some public telephones were coming up only. And then people were also not educated, almost illiterate. But then this ICT came, and that penetrated, and it's kind of leapfrogging. So teledensity started increasing. Then what happened is, if I show you the next, can you see the graph? So if you see the graph, you will see that some of the wildland...
The graph is not visible. The slide is still in the previous one.
Okay, I'll show it later then. So this, now after this, our extension system is there for agriculture, where the technology is imparted from lab to the farm. The farmers are trained, but and also given advisories and information. But it's a huge process, and it was almost failing for many years. But this ICT development made it much easier to reach out to the farmers, and in local languages now. We have the call centers for farmers. Farmers can phone and ask, and increasingly they are calling and asking for information. And this training and information can be imparted there. The farmers can share their own knowledge. Then there's a electronic auctioning, e-marketing, digital payments can be possible there. Credit card is given, Kisan credit card. Then farmers get information about the new input possibilities. And India is moving towards one market because they can be integrated. There is no barrier for ICT to work. So this is the rural status now. But because ICT is not there so much, and especially internet is not there, ICT is there. But so mobile messaging is still till now the most important way. And so here, just I was saying, in the table you can see it developed, but you see the wildlife, the things that we used in our younger days, that has actually gone down. But the wildness has increased. Then narrowband has not increased that much. Broadband has increased in internet. Internet density has increased, not so much. If you see the second graph, it started very late, from 2015. This is the rural one. Whereas the village telephone, PCO, etc. has come down. So this is leapfrogging. Communication was increasing, but this new technology came and it surpassed the others. Can you see this?
Ma'am, we are seeing the slide digital land records.
Yeah, right. So this is one development that has happened in recent times. It's a very ancient process. Of course, even those Mughal kings, and before that also they needed land information, very much land records, because that was the main item on which taxes were imposed. But then it remained backward only. The British created something also, and that remained. So recently what happened is they changed it, and they made it those contracts, rights of you see, there were a lot of corruption also. Politics takes place in the state about that. And this was a big constant for credit also and insurance, because they need to know what land you hold. So what happened is they started property mapping. Drones were also used for this, and property cards were generated. And land records are being modernized. I don't think it is over. So ministry, they are all computerizing it, and whatever card or information comes out is tamper proof and with legal sanctity. So it's one, nobody can use their power to change it. So that helps, that helps create job in the rural sector. Digitization of information takes place, and you have more information on revenue, cropping pattern, etc. And what is more, it helps in planning infrastructure also. You know the land, whose land, etc. Roads have to be built, power plants have to be built. For environmental improvements, you have to make for a afforestation program there. Then this provides a database for agricultural census. And above all is the credit thing, which I emphasize. It helps the banks and the credit institutions to give credit easily. And how easily will come to that? Can you see it?
Yes.
So I'll not go through this in detail. So these are several steps that have been taken in the last few years. Remote sensing is there, global GPS, GIS, decision support systems. Then we have this AgMarkNet, which takes down all marketing information, prices, how much is sold, etc., how much is not sold in the market under the Ministry of Agriculture. Then we have the FASL, where we are involved also. This is for forecasting in advance using data and satellites. Then we have the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, ENAM, which I'll speak on a little bit. It follows a model in Karnataka. Then finally, this portal and stacking that has come into news now. So what is the vision of this digital agriculture? It is felt that the timely and adequate inputs such as fertilizer, seeds, pesticides can help farmers by making affordable agricultural credit and crop insurance. Indian farmers will be going to ensure food and nutritional security. It is envisaged to make available relevant information and services to farming community and the private sector through the use of ICT. Then farmers portal can help to create one-stop shop for meeting information needs for agriculture. Then from the farmers portal, a farmer will be able to get all relevant information even at the district level or even more micro level. The information which farmer needs can be delivered by SMS, email, audio-visual in the language known. They can be matched through maps of India, and farmers, they can go to the portal. There are a number of maps in many places, especially in that satellite site. Then farmers will be able to ask also. It is interactive. They may have queries. So feedback module will also be there. Now I'll speak a little more on ENAM. ENAM is National Agricultural Market. This is a big development. This is harnessing ICT power to integrate the fragmented markets. We have the wholesale markets of the mandis around the country, everywhere, and they are regulated or governed by local bodies which are supposed to be elected, but election doesn't always take place. And by hand they used to take the prices and send. That's how we get the wholesale price level. But now, we can see also the prices may differ widely, not more. More than the transport cost. So now this is a pan-India common electronic trading portal which networks all the mandis, and so this is the way towards one market, one price. So, and which is undistorted price discovery. And so farmer has the information which product is selling at what price in which market. So this does away with the information asymmetry that traders will bring the information. So software funds are given by the central government. State government also takes part in it, manages it. And then we have mobile apps also, where traders module, farmers module. This is one thing. Then again, FPO, farmers producer organizations, they have a module. Then warehouses are there. You need the warehouse, take the crop and store. logistic model. All the stakeholders are brought into a same portal, so you can communicate among them. I need a truck to carry my products. I need a buyer to buy my products, or I need a farmer to sell onion to me, etc. So all this can be done there, and this will obviously draw private investment and benefit farmers, and increase competitiveness also, and reduce the dependence on MSP if possible. But state and centers need to cooperate. So this is another app where in many languages, this is farmer can get from Kisan Suvidha app, information on weather forecast, dealers, which dealers are available, what is the phone number and address, what is the market price in this mandi, what can I do for crop production, direct contact to the Kisan, everything. It's like a directory, but everything is there. So this is the National E-Governance Plan. This is part of extension. First part, it is a mode of delivery of services. Earlier we had so many models. Last I heard was the Atma model. But here this is, we can be in touch through internet, touch screen, agri-clinics, private kiosk, mass media, common services, Kisan call centers. We can have integrated platform in the departmental office. Physical outreach also is not done away with, and mobile telephony. Lot of telephone calls and SMS are used. Then this Kisan SMS portal is there. Center state organ give information. So what ultimately those who have access to digital infrastructure can get information through websites and web portals. They can go there and find what they need. If they need a good seller of a certain kind of fertilizer or pesticide, they can find it in the web. Those who have smartphones can access the same information through mobile app. Those who have basic phones, they are also not deprived. They can get SMS advisories. So personalized information, farmers themselves also can call at the toll-free number. So there are several apps being developed on weather warning, on the cattle. People can, especially we have a Bhuvan map also, and from that they can get from satellite photographs of the fields, the dates of harvesting, sowing, irrigation. Crop insurance app is there, Agri Market. Then this MNCFC, Mohananavis Crop Forecasting Center, they have this field data collection to ground truth their satellite data and geospatial database, real-time crop assessment of remote sensing data, and also data analytics. We are involved in that. Then we have the Bhumi for land records. This is in Karnataka, soil testing. So we know that database is very important here for farming community and private sector through the use of information and communication technology for supplementing existing delivery channels. So good data is critical for AI, artificial intelligence model to work efficiently. Presently also AI is on trial basis used to improve yield. They are tried in other countries also. So farmers portal is being created for also helping the farmers. So this will help to, for farmers not to get confused with the maze of websites as I described for the different things. This will be all in one platform only. Once the farmers portal is formed, a farmer will be able to get all relevant information on any specific subject around the village, block, state, etc. Then it is easily reached through maps. Also, farmers will be able to ask specific questions. It can be a two-way model. So this is the mission. What we expect is digitize all the payments, fast credit transmission to the farmers, insurance, effective insurance. Insurance, again, I say depends on information because it suffers from asymmetric information, especially adverse selection. Then direct benefit transfer, no corruption should be there. So many subsidies are given. Kisan Samman Nidhi is given. So all this has to be done. Then accountability, tracking, tracing, quality of product, transparency can be achieved. Best practices for precision, sustainable, efficiency farming with all the advisories. Then interactive multimedia extension, all data record prices, payments, sales, land input policy, all will be recorded. Easy data collection now possible with mobile apps. Some of you may be using that also, because in our research world it has already come. Then to create a big data, and which will help research development. So all this is there. Then further we can do this, some of the things I wrote there. So this is something that is going on, is data stacking, a portal for efficient and precision farming. And market intelligence is highlighted in the G20 AMIS, ICT as a decision support system. And in June 2021, this idea, they detailed the architecture of the agri stack to make a digital database, especially on around the land records, as I have already spoken on. So state and central, see, sometimes the state gives a data, center data is in concurrent list, as you know, statistics. Agriculture is a state subject, but the data, both center and state, cooperate to create the data, but they don't always match. So no one can say what is there. There is politics, there is inefficiency, so many other things are there. So now central and state data will be independent parts of that architecture. They will not exist as silos, but can be used together. It is up to you to choose. It can include farmers' borrowing history, land ownership data, cropping pattern, income data, among other things. So this, for banks and credit givers, this is very useful. They can rate the credit worthiness of the farmers, even without the farmers to come to the bank to ask for credit. So, Kisan credit card is there. There, it is much easier because, the farmer can draw from the credit card as necessary. But still, the farmer has to go and get the Kisan credit card. Here, I think that documentation will also be redundant. It can be done over the kiosk, or internet portal only. So, and it will empower all the stakeholders in agri value chain on a common platform, not just the farmers, but the buyers, the traders, the companies, the consumers. And what is more, they can do precise planning of the production and the logistics. So this is the data stack being built up, and banking, credit, insurance, all this, which I have already spoken about. So this is leveraging the technology to contribute towards increasing farmers' income. Now I'm going to the next one, portal. Can you see it?
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
see?
Yes, ma'am. The portal is
This is the National E-Governance Plan. Funds are released to the states and UTs for the project of modern IT, such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, blockchain technology, Internet of Things, robotics, etc. Customization, shifting of web and mobile application developed by state to the platform. So they're asking the stakeholders, like if the state is having its data or whatever, if they use artificial intelligence or blockchain, whatever, to transfer it to the common platform. The states, it will be, states authorship will be there, of course. So we have this unified price payment interface was there. So this is the farmer service interface. So this will also change the landscape in a similar way. Like we have now, people are paying everywhere, even the thelawalas, vegetable vendors, they are willing to take Paytm and Google Pay and all this. So this will also change the payment world a lot. So data providers, data consumers can exchange the data also. It will help large section of agriculture sector. Healthy private-public partnership is needed for that. So NIC in Delhi, they are building up a comprehensive centralized DBT direct benefit portal for agriculture. So there, all the information is there. What are the schemes going on? What benefit you can get? Whether you can get subsidy, whether you can get PM Kisan or pension or whatever. It will be brought in, I'm sure. So all the information is there. So creating a federated farmer database by compiling information of the farmers from various databases available with the government. So federated means all the states will come together and the center and the larger farmers database will be created, and they will be linked with the land records. That's already there. So, and MOUs with, here again, private sector is there. Very much they're involved in creating these databases and working on the IT part. So MOUs with various leading agri-tech players are taking place for developing proof of concept on the farmers database. And MNCSC established initially to provide in-season crop forecast and drought situation. Now they are using state-of-the-art methodologies developed by ISRO. So just a few words on this blockchain, which is very much in news, and we think it is related to cryptocurrencies, but actually it is a much broader thing. This is kind of a ledger, which is a distributed ledger, and it is immutable, means you cannot delete it. It is shared and immutable, and it helps in tracking assets, reducing risk, and building trust. That is, if you are buying from somebody, you know that thing is, whatever you're buying is good quality, or you're paying the money, it is going to the right place. So you can track your orders and payment account, etc. So you can get timely data, confidentiality is there, etc. So in agriculture, it can assist the farmers with getting microloans from across the world or the country at competitive interest rate, not just at high interest rate at which local money lenders give or even the banks give. Fair purchases, these are in general. I'm not saying that these are in practice in India. So you can sell to, reach out to a larger market, negotiate the price and sell it at fair prices. This is a ledger system which can rapidly address all the components, throughout the year and reduce the cost in one farm cycle. That means you just don't think of immediately what I need, and maybe part of that fertilizer will be wasted. No need of that. Then it helps in inventory management to monitor and the storage. Then very important is the food safety, which is becoming more and more important in the global market. If we have to be competitive in the global market in agriculture, so this will be important because people want to know where the food is coming from, whether the food is safe, whether it is organic, whether whatever questions can come. So here, if you remember a few years ago, there was E. coli infection in many of these European countries. So they traced it to some lettuce, a company which was selling lettuce. And this was done by a collaboration between Walmart and IBM. So they use a blockchain because they know they traced it back from the consumer back to the producer. And in between, somewhere maybe the infection came, not necessarily at the producer side. So they can trace it there. So this is extremely important for this food tracking. Already we do the tracking on, if you send by courier, So this can be done for everything. Now this Canada, there is an online blockchain marketplace where data transfer through progression of supply network with appropriate approval, it can stop illegal and unethical production and circulation, which undermines food security. Then successful implementation of blockchain is on seed distribution in Jharkhand. But there is little proof supporting the case of blockchain and big data innovations for world food security. I'm going to the next one. Can you see this? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay. So this is a crop forecasting thing which MNCFC are doing with us and IMD also. So this is timely, accurate information is key to trade negotiation. As I said, that you have to, if government has to protect the food security, and it should get in advance information that this year the food production may be short, or opposite also. Because procurement is a huge problem. So you need an early assessment, timely assessment of crop production outlook. So this is integrating several methodologies, including satellite and data analytics under this first umbrella Fasal project. Now it has become real-time crop forecast system. Now we are at this moment giving monthly forecast. So that supply chain, and it is now internal, but when it comes into open, then it will help the supply chain to plan, their logistics and production and other things in time. And there can be algorithms for real-time, nearly automatic scenario. If an algorithm is built, it will be like artificial intelligence. So you know the data itself will produce the forecast and its errors, etc. Already the government has a weekly meeting on crop weather watch group. There, latest information comes in from the field. That is also put in, place in this portal. So, and then every few months, they take out an advance estimate, which in turn feeds into our macro estimates also quarterly. So this is helped by ground also for field estimates, but this is the advanced estimates. Finally, when every data is actually out, it becomes the final GDP, agricultural production, agricultural GDP, and final GDP. So this is the thing, as I said, that RBI has launched the CBDC and the digitalization of Kisan credit card, and it's end-to-end digitalization has helped as a piloting, and the land record portal has helped a lot in this. It not only helped the farmers get over the hassles, but it helped in the Kisan credit card and finally for the CBDC. And of course, the CBDC will help, avoid printing and carrying so much of transfer of cash, reduce the burden. Then we have the public-private partnership. So finance is given from both ends. Then innovation and agricultural technology, it will draw equity investment. So it can kickstart the sector. Mainstream commercial institutions, banks, non-banks, they can fund startups which will work on these areas, blockchain, artificial intelligence, etc. for agriculture. So it will give more flexibility. It will lead to more employment also for food processing, marketing, lot of data registration. This is gig or platform workers will be created, which is independent contractors. They can earn money in the rural areas. Don't need to be highly active or arduous work. They totally flexible work and flexi work, which is becoming the business model worldwide now. So this is a possibility also for rural development. Then, of course, there are critics and have pointed out several cautions. E-market is good, but open outcry, as in Bombay, Chicago, New York, that also has its positive sides. Land records, that AgriStack is not complete really, may have errors. Capacity build development for end user is extremely important. We are not ready for that. We still lack a legal framework for this. Algorithm decision is good, but make that more transparent. So then the data safeguard and privacy is very important, that we don't know what will happen to misuse of data by bigger entities against the poorer farmers is a possibility. There should be checks for that. It will affect the research community because firstly survey methods are changing from NSSO, CSO, all these to our field survey level. You have the apps, you have the satellites, so many other, your data sources are changing also. So now more and more you will get digital data also of transactions, sales. So data shortage will reduce. So more research can take place. And you can do consistency checks on the data. You can do whether they see the benefits now of these changes, and you can improve these algorithms. You can see how it is the farmers are adjusting to this. So this is a big disruptive change. It's a break in continuity of time series data, I'm sure. And a lot of things to see. Unequal reach also is important. If whether a state which is not going forward in the same pace is falling behind, then whether it is saving public money, whether it is improving food security, our competitiveness, environment, political economy. micro studies can come up to see what level it is working. So now this new revolution, what I find is the farmers will know what to produce, how much to produce, when to sell, where to sell, benefit from the new technologies. They will benefit from the new technologies. They will get reliable forecasts of climate, choose resilient crop varieties, manage crop diseases, well, weather forecast information received through ICT tools, adjust their sowing dates if they come to know that there will be rain, they did not irrigate now. So that can be done. They can manage risk much better, at least the crop risk. And then we have greater role of private sector here. Government inviting major technology players. This is another big change, new revolution here, because from the beginning, private players are more competent in this, and they have been independently doing a lot for this sector and for our people. Then the smart agriculture is utilization of natural resources and decrease of environmental impact. This also ICT can help. Blockchain and other modern technologies, they can help in ensuring food safety, preventing misuse of resources, misuse of wrong, inappropriate use of technology, etc. High-level task force has invited comments from the subject from farmers, FPOs, general public to consider them framework for creating an agri-stack which will serve as a foundation to build innovative agri-focused solutions, leveraging digital technologies to contribute effectively to increase farmers' income and improve efficiency of the agricultural sector with production and market, everything. I think I must thank you and thank you for your time and patience.